السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Can all of you hear me? الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا. وقال الله تعالى في مقام آخر: الله ولي المؤمنين والله ولي المؤمنين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Alhamdulillah, we are already in the month of Sha'ban and we are fast approaching the month of Ramadan. This month of Sha'ban was a time when the Prophet ﷺ was extremely focused in preparing for the month of Ramadan. The way we can understand the month of Sha'ban is that Sha'ban is like the warm-up. Sha'ban is the training camp. Sha'ban is an opportunity for us that we can discipline our nafs before we begin Ramadan. And this is the reason why Nabi alayhi wasalam would fast in the month of Sha'ban. Prophet ﷺ, he would do things in Sha'ban in anticipation of the month of Ramadan. So Ramadan is the match. Ramadan is when you have entered into the game. Ramadan is when you are in the game. And Sha'ban is that we are warming up for that game. It's the training camp. And we know that in dunya, we don't show up for a match if we are not warmed up, if you're not conditioned. That is why this month is crucially important, this month of Sha'ban. Because every single good habit that you cultivate in Sha'ban will have an impact in Ramadan. And every single bad habit that we leave unattended, that we continue doing in this month of Sha'ban, it will negatively impact our Ramadan. And there is no doubt about this, that everything we do in this month of Sha'ban will affect something about us in the month of Ramadan. Our sleep schedule, if we can fix that, it will positively impact our sleep schedule in Ramadan. If we fast in the month of Sha'ban, it will positively impact us in the month of Sha'ban, in the month of Ramadan. If we do not fast in the month of Sha'ban, then that will also impact us, but negatively in the month of Ramadan. If a person builds up a habit of reading Quran in this month of Sha'ban, this will affect their Ramadan in a positive way. If a person lets this month of Sha'ban pass by and we have no daily contact with the Quran, that this will negatively affect us in Ramadan. All of these things, everything that we do in this month, this will have an impact on the quality of your Ramadan. So every single day, we should be thinking that I want to prepare for Ramadan, and this is the month. This month of Sha'ban is the month that we are preparing for the month of Ramadan. And this is the sunnah, the temperament of the Prophet ﷺ as well. That 2 months before Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ would start making dua. That, "O Allah, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajaba wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan." That Allah put barakah in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, enable us to reach the month of Ramadan. Spiritually speaking, some of our ulama and mashayikh, particularly Imam Rabbani, Hazrat Mujaddid al-Fisani rahmatullah alayh, they suggest that the barakat and the massive, massive blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends in the month of Ramadan, they already start to trickle in during the month of Sha'ban. And the way they explain this is that they give the example of Fajr and then sunrise. Sunrise is that moment when the rays of the sun, they come on the horizon. You can see the sun, the silver disk, the lining. But before that is the time of Fajr. 1 or maybe more than 1.5, 1 hour before the sun comes out, the time for Fajr begins. And gradually the light begins to trickle through. So the first spread of light is the beginning of Fajr. And then as more and more light comes through, and then almost when you look at the sky like 15, 20 minutes before sunrise, the sky is full of light. And sometimes if you don't know the time for sunrise, you would think that the sun is already out there. Exactly in the same way, before the month of Ramadan appears, just like before the sun appears, prior to that, there is a lot of light that spreads the sky. Just like that, before the month of Ramadan appears, the barakat, the blessings of Ramadan, they start to flood the sky. And the barakat, they only increase with every passing day. So we should try that in this month. We should spend as many nights we can in ibadat, as many days we can in fasting. And we should start planning in advance for the month of Ramadan. What is Ramadan? Ramadan is the best opportunity for us to leave sin, to mend our ways, to patch up with Allah Ta'ala. And the easiest way to make it easy in Ramadan is that we work hard in Sha'ban. Our Mushaykh, they say that if you want the best Ramadan, then make this Sha'ban like your last Ramadan. If you can do that, then inshallah this Ramadan will be a life-changing experience for you. It can take a person to a point of no return, can drastically change a person, bring a person close to Allah Ta'ala, make a person a friend, a beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person can leave sins in such a way that they never fall back into that same sin. A person can get attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet ﷺ in such a way that they never become detached ever again. So we must work in Sha'ban. And normally what ends up happening is that a person, we don't prepare too well in Sha'ban. And as a result of that, when Ramadan begins, we are still warming up. We are still conditioning ourselves, getting used to the schedule. getting used to fasting. And then before we know, we are already in the last 10 days of Ramadan. And then we begin to get some effects of Ramadan, but Ramadan ends. And then very quickly, in the first few days of Shawwal, we lose all of the effect of Ramadan. So Ramadan has an effect, but no after effect. If you want to change this sequence, then for that we need to work before. We need to begin the process in Sha'ban. Ramadan is the month of intense mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this mercy comes in two ways. One, that this mercy can wipe away every single sin that we have done in our life. And the second way is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes available every single thing in deen. Allah ta'ala presents it to us in a platter, whether it's tahajjud, whether it's sabr, or shukr, or a haya, everything is presented. It becomes accessible, available for a person. That if a person wishes, they can take nourishment from all of these things in our deen. So, the first thing practically then that we should be doing in this month of Shaban is to make this niyat, to make strong intentions. Niyat is a very, very powerful thing. We should make continuous niyat. And the niyat should be that, Ya Allah, this Ramadan, this coming Ramadan, I want to tap into that power, that mercy, that rahmat, and I want to leave every single sin that I'm doing. And secondly, I want to partake from all the barakat that are there in my deen. I want to beautify, adorn myself with all the sifat, the attributes of the believers that are mentioned in the Quran. In other words, we should make this intention of change, that I want to change myself. That for now, up till now, I've been living a life which is dunya centered, or ego centered, or nafs centered. Now I want to live a life which is Allah centered, God centered. I want to bring everything in my life, make it according to the deen. We should make this intention. Ramadan is a very intense, very strong program, and we'll only be able to benefit from it if we make a very strong intention, equally intense intention. And after making intention, the second practical thing we should do is that we should try to begin clearing up things in Sha'ban to free ourselves up for Ramadan. Try to clear up clear out all the things in Sha'ban as we can. We can sort out our tasks into different categories. Those that need immediate attention, we should take care of them right now, so that we're not stuck doing them in the month of Ramadan. And those tasks that can be delayed, we can delay them till after Ramadan to Shawwal. So put things in either Shaban or Shawwal and clear out all things as we can, as much as we can. Ramadan should be free. We should want to be free in Ramadan as much as possible. And when we say clearing things out in Shaban, not just work or studies or career-wise, but also our relationships, our meetings, our interactions, our emotions, emotionally. If we have any such issues, emotional issues, relationship issues with parents, with friends, with colleagues, any other person, we should try to sort them out right now. Fulfill the hukukul ibad right now. Have those conversations right now. so that our spirituality, our concentration is not hampered in the month of Ramadan. We don't feel that stress in Ramadan. We don't feel any sadness in Ramadan. We are completely focused. We're not distracted. We are ready in Ramadan. So we should try to take care of our hukukul ibad in Sha'ban. So that Ramadan is the month of Allah. Shahrullah, it's the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where a person should try to place all of their attentiveness, their mindfulness towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not be distracted by other things. And we should also follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the sunnah of fasting. The sunnah of fasting in this month of Sha'ban. It comes in a Sahih hadith that the Prophet ﷺ would fast so much in the month of Sha'ban that he would almost connect it to Ramadan. That other than Ramadan, there is no other month in which the Prophet ﷺ used to fast more than Sha'ban. And there are many benefits of fasting in Sha'ban. One is that a person, they get back into the habit of fasting physically. One gets back into the spiritual habit of fasting. You wake up for suhoor, which is a blessed time. You pray tahajjud. You can make dua. And then you make dua at the time of iftar. When you fast, you also begin to remember your previous Ramadan. Perhaps you might remember the du'as that you made in previous Ramadan, du'as that we might have forgotten throughout the whole year. And we can also use this fasting as a way to show our commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that ya Allah, we want to improve. We want to change ourselves. One thing that is really important that we should start in Sha'ban, and this will carry all the way into Ramadan, is to do mujahida against our nafs. Because in Ramadan, shayateen will be chained, but it's really training, it's a training against our nafs, disciplining, refining our nafs. And there is a term that our mashayikh use for this, which is called mujahida against our nafs, mukhalifatun nafs. And what that means is that a person should start some of the sacrifices and the hard work right now. And these are sacrifices, these are things that a person does against their nafs, training our nafs. Training our nafs, mukhalifatun nafs. Mukhalifatun nafs is to make myself uncomfortable for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we're so busy in this life of luxury and comfort that we don't want to come out of our comfort zone. And we should always remember that this dunya is not just for comfortable living. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this dunya so that we strive for akhirat. We make mujahida for akhirat. Sometimes we seem to get stuck in our spirituality, in our level of deen. Why? Because we're not willing to come out of our comfort zone. We're too comfortable in this life of comfort and luxury, in all the blessings that we have, that we are not willing to make sacrifice. We're not willing to struggle. We're not willing to come out of that comfort. We are not willing to do that mujahida. But that mujahida is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. That mujahida is exactly what will take us to the next level in our deen. In Quran, Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. That those who do mujahida for our sake. And mujahida means that there is a resistance force, that you come out of that comfort, you Make yourself uncomfortable for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you do that, when you do mujahidah, when you struggle, when you sacrifice, then Allah Ta'ala's promise in the Quran is that لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, that we will surely guide you in multiple pathways to come close to us. Which means that if you want to go to the next level in our deen, we want to advance, develop, improve ourselves spiritually, come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, increase in our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, draw near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For all of that, the shart, the condition that Allah Ta'ala is laying down in this ayat of the Quran is that we need to become people of mujahidah. We need to become people who can sacrifice some of the comforts, some of the extras of the dunya for the sake of deen. We are willing to come out of that comfort zone, make that mujahidah. Make that mujahidah. And we should then keep asking ourselves this question, that how did I make myself more uncomfortable today for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What did I do to discipline my nafs? This is the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to follow. Mujahidatun nafs and mukhalafatun nafs. I'll mention one ayat in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions two things that we should be focusing on. When a person, they can do these two things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises that He will open up the doors of barakah, the doors of blessings, the floodgates of blessings will open up for us if a person does these two things. This one verse where Allah mentions these two things are the solution to all our problems. Because when we do these two things, Allah Ta'ala promises barakah and blessings. And barakah is such a bounty that when you get barakah, then every problem goes away. If there is barakah in children, then there is benefit from those children. The children become the coolness of your eye. If there is barakah in your spouse, then your spouse becomes the coolness of your eye. If there is barakah in wealth, then that wealth becomes beneficial for you. If there is barakah in your home, then that home becomes like a piece of Jannah. And if there is something which is lacking in barakah, then no matter how large that thing is, in terms of quantity, one will not be able to get that benefit from that thing. There will be a restlessness and emptiness. How many people are there who have children, but they're living a life as if they were childless. Their children are not paying them that respect, that love, that attention. This is loss of barakah. How many people are there who have a lot of wealth, but they don't have anything? They don't have peace and itminan in their hearts. There is wealth, but there is no barakah in that wealth. How many people are there who have large salaries, yet after 15 days, they don't have anything left in their hands, in their account? This is lack of barakah. So lack of barakah in the home, lack of barakah in relationships, in children, in spouse, in wealth, in everything. This lack of barakah can erase the benefit of that thing. And barakah is such a thing that if we get barakah, when we attain barakah, then we can get every type of benefit from that thing. So, which ayat is this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا, that if the people living in the world, they do two things. Number one, Iman, and number two, taqwa. If a person does these two things, Iman and taqwa, Allah Ta'ala is saying that I will not just give barakah to them, I will open the floodgates of barakah. لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ, that we will open up the doors, the gates of barakah from the heavens and the earth. We would open up all the gates of barakah from the top and the bottom. So this is a promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making. This is a promise for the believers. It's not for the non-believer. Being a believer is necessary. Becoming a Muslim is necessary. That's the first condition, Iman. And the second thing is taqwa. Taqwa means to obey the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to leave anything which puts a distance between a person and Allah ta'ala, to leave sin. Allah ta'ala is saying that if you just do these two things, I will open up the floodgates of barakah for you from the heavens and the earth. Two things, Iman and taqwa. These are such important attributes that if a person is poor, but they have Iman and taqwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them honor and izzat, will give them peace and happiness, will give them barakah and joy. And on the other hand, if the wealthiest of the wealthy, they abandon this taqwa, they abandon this Iman, then despite their wealth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take away that peace, will deprive them of His blessings of that barakah. Two things, Iman and taqwa. But we need to understand what Iman means and what taqwa means. What is Iman? Iman is not just saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Iman is the name for certain qualities. And this is the month Sha'ban that we should be thinking about working on our Iman, on strengthening our Iman, on not just getting the name of Iman, but the haqiqat, the reality of Iman in our heart. Like Quran, Allah Ta'ala says that, O people of Iman, have Iman. That those who have recited the kalima of Iman, now try to get the qualities of Iman within you. What are the qualities of Iman? The greatest quality of Iman, the greatest quality of Iman, that quality without which Iman is not valid, is that we should place our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should place our conviction in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, we are living in this dunya. We're living among the creation. We're living among makhluk. This dunya is darul asbab. It's a place of means. And what happens is that when a person is living with these worldly means, they become such that a person makes the means his Rabb. That my job is supporting me, is feeding me. My degree is feeding me. Our dunya becomes our Rabb. Yaqeen means that we understand that the Rabb is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala is my supporter. He is my sustainer. He is my nourisher. He is my nurturer. No one else. So this trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that nothing can happen except for the will and the wish of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means we're supposed to make use of means, but these means are a medium. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can put benefit in that means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can put some negative effect in that means. If Allah ta'ala wills, the work can be attained through those means. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not wish, then work will not be done. And to explain this point, Allah ta'ala has mentioned so many stories in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes acts without means, just to show that I'm not bound by these worldly means. I can do this in this manner as well, without the means. For example, Allah Ta'ala created Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam without parents. Allah Ta'ala created Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam without a father, just from a mother alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a son to Sayyidina Zakaria alayhi salam while he was in old age. Old age. His wife had become barren, and she had entered that age where children medically are not born. She was in that stage of her life where medically it was impossible, a medical impossibility for her to conceive. And at that age, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her a son. And Sayyidina Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, he himself was amazed that, Ya Allah, how can I have a son when my wife is barren and I've reached this extreme old age? So Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came to him and said that, Zakaria, your Rabb is not dependent upon age. For your Rabb, it's not necessary for a woman to be at a particular age, in a particular age bracket. For your Rabb, nothing is a limitation. Your Rabb says be and it becomes. It's easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Zakaria, remain content. When your Rabb decides something, when your Rabb intends something, then nothing can stop it. It's difficult for you without the means. It's not difficult for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Then the story of Sayyidina Maryam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give her fruits which were out of season without trees. Any fruits, you get them from trees and you get them in the season. But when Sayyidina Zakaria alayhi salam came to Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam, he saw that she was eating something and no one came from the outside, no one came from outside. He was surprised that where did she get these fruits from? And then he asked that, Maryam, where did you get these fruits from? And these are fruits which are not even available in the markets. It's not in the season. And she said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave these fruits to me. Allah Ta'ala gave these fruits to me. They're out of season. They're without trees. These are from Allah Ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give by counting. Allah Ta'ala gives without measure. Allah Ta'ala is not restricted by means. This is Iman. This is one of the first and foremost qualities of Iman that a person should have. That whatever happens, it happens by the will and the wish of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing happens without the intention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, no one can stop him. If he does not will, no one can do it. No one can stop what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not will, no one can ever do it. There was an astrologer who told Fir'aun that a child is about to be born and he will be the cause of his destruction. And Pharaoh said that, okay, that do not let such a child be born. And he stationed soldiers at the doors of all the houses that no male baby should be born anywhere. And if a boy is born, snatch him from the mother immediately and slaughter him. He slaughtered 80,000 children, male babies, Bani Israel. But see, the shan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he slaughtered the whole next generation, slaughtered the whole next generation. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was born, when he was in the womb of his mother, normally when there is a child in the womb, the belly bulges, it becomes known. But when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was in his mother's womb, the belly did not even protrude, so that it couldn't be known that she was expecting. And then when a child is born, he screams, and then people find out. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam came out, but he did not scream. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a revelation to the mother of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, sent an angel that, O mother of Musa alayhi salam, don't fear that someone will take your baby away. Do not grieve that something might happen to him. And be content in your heart. But yes, if you fear too much, if you feel this fear, then do this, that lock him in this small chest and cast him into the river. And then all of us, we know the story, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Allah ta'ala returned Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam to the lap of his mother. This is Iman, that we put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we can accept this point from our heart, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Azim. Nothing can stop the work of Allah ta'ala. Allah ta'ala is Al-Akbar. Allah ta'ala is Akbar. He is the greatest. If we can accept this point from our heart, then obeying every command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes easy. Then a person has no fear of any worldly loss while obeying Allah ta'ala. If some loss happens, apparently, when they obey Allah ta'ala, they're not frightened by it. They say that loss is also in the hands of Allah ta'ala. What can this person do? What can this thing do? What can this institution do for me? Profit and loss is not in the hands of creation. Profit and loss is in the hands of Allah ta'ala. I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. I'm obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never put me in a loss. So when a person has this Iman, this trust upon Allah ta'ala, then they become firm in their ita'at, in their ibadat. It becomes easy for them to fulfill the commands of Allah. This is the fundamental quality among the qualities of Iman. And the second crucial quality of Iman is that a person should not be a source of discomfort for other people. This is also one of the qualities of Iman. The Prophet ﷺ said that none of you truly believes, none of you truly has Iman until they love for their brother what they love for themselves. One is not a true believer, not a person of true Iman, until they prefer for others what they prefer for themselves. So if one prefers something for themselves, but they wish ill for other people, this is not a true believer. Is not fulfilling the first condition, which is the condition of Iman. If a person is seeking good for themselves, but they seek evil for other people, they cannot be a true believer. To wish well for everyone, to have sympathy for everyone, to have compassion for everyone, to be a well-wisher for everyone, this is Iman. This is the whole of Iman. Not wishing ill for anyone, wishing well for everyone, wishing the well-being for everyone, goodness for all, good treatment for all, a good attitude towards everyone. a clean heart for everyone, sympathy and compassion for all. This is Iman. And not having sympathy in the heart for other people, having ill will, this is lack of Iman. When we work at our office and we are not diligent and dutiful, waste time, misuse the amanat and the trust that has been placed upon us, then this person is practicing ill will. This is lack of Iman. When someone engages in deceptive practices, deceptive business, tries to deceive others, delude others, they're practicing ill will towards others. This is lack of Iman. When someone commits a fraud with someone, this is lack of Iman. When they're dishonest, this is lack of Iman. When they speak they lie, this is lack of Iman. This is against Iman. Such a person will not be a true believer in the sight of Allah Ta'ala. So Iman means that we should not be a cause of discomfort for anyone, but rather we should be a cause of comfort for everyone, wishing well for everyone, wishing goodness for everyone. These are the qualities of Iman. The Prophet ﷺ said that Iman has over 70 branches. And if we can blend all of those 70 branches and you try to extract the essence, what's the summary? What's the core point? The core points are what we just mentioned to you, two things, that Iman and Taqwa. Iman, that you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all profit and loss is in the hands of Allah ta'ala, and you prefer for others what you prefer for your own self. This was Iman. And then the second quality that Allah ta'ala mentions in the ayah, وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا. If only the people living in the world had Iman and Taqwa. Taqwa is the second quality. Taqwa is to fulfill our fara'iz, is to carry out the commands of Allah, to save ourselves from falling into sin, not committing any sin, making tawbah if we committed a sin, staying away from every sin. Yes, it happens that sometimes the nafs can dominate and a person makes a mistake. But every time when that happens, a person immediately turns back in tawbah. They immediately go back in tawbah. Allah Ta'ala says that those who are muttaqi, people who have taqwa, if shaitan ever deceives them, if shaitan ever touches them, and they ever end up making a mistake, they slip, what happens? They immediately regain consciousness. They remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they wake up and they say that, what have we done? And they immediately come back to Allah Ta'ala. They make tawbah. They cry, they weep, they make dua, they get forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So becoming a muttaqi, becoming a person of taqwa does not mean that we now become infallible, we become sinless, we can never ever sin. No sin will ever happen from us again. No. Becoming muttaqi means that you have intention not to do it again. Becoming muttaqi means that you make this intention to leave it forever. And then if a mistake happens, and a mistake happens by mistake, person slips by mistake, they go back into that sin, they were not able to control themselves, nafs overpowered them. If that happens, if that ever happens, then immediately turning back in tawbah. This is muttaqi. They're sinning, but they are going back in Tawbah, this is muttaqi. Mistakes can happen from people who are muttaqi. Mistakes can happen even from people who are muttaqi. But a muttaqi person does not persist in that mistake. They don't persist in that mistake. They immediately turn in tawbah. They immediately wake up. They come back to Allah Ta'ala. They cry before Allah. In Quran, Allah Ta'ala is saying this, that those who have taqwa, when some thought from shaitan touches them, tadakkaru, they remember Allah Ta'ala at once. Their eyes open up immediately. They gain consciousness. They turn back in tawbah. They try to please Allah Ta'ala. This is called taqwa. This is taqwa. Sometimes a person might be engaged in sins that have become that have become our habit, habitual sins, sins which you try to give up many times, but they're not leaving you. So if that happens, we should do two things. Two things, just two things. There's no cost attached in these two in doing these two things. For those sins that have become habitual, that we are unable to leave, we want to leave, but we're not able to leave, just two things. One is we should not stop repenting. We should not stop making tawbah. If it has become a habit to sin, any sin that has become a habit, first thing is that we should not stop repenting. If you cannot stop sinning, then don't stop repenting either. It's it's odd that a person, they don't stop sinning, but you stop repenting. So first thing, don't stop repenting. If the habit of one sin, two sin, three sins, whatever the number, if the habit is so ingrained that it happens many times every day, then repent many times every day. That's one thing. We should never leave repenting. We should never stop repenting. Always making tawbah, always following it up with tawbah, 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 tawbah. And the second thing for those habitual sins is we should seek the company of Ahlullah, the people of Allah. And wallahi, surely if we can do these two things, if we keep making tawbah over and over again, and if we keep seeking the company of the people of Allah, then surely that sin will leave us one day. No matter how old that sin is, how habitual we have become to that sin will surely leave one day. It will surely leave. It will definitely leave. It will definitely one day leave us. The company of Ahlullah is such, the Prophet ﷺ said that La yashqa jalisuhum, that they are people, if someone becomes their companion, they're never deprived. They surely get something from that company. So we are living in such an environment where people become addicted to sins, and this is what we should do in this month of Sha'ban as a way to prepare for Ramadan, to come out of that addiction. The greatest ibadat that we can do in Sha'ban and then in Ramadan, the greatest ibadat, greater than fasting, greater than salah, greater than tilawat, greater than dua, greater than zikr, the greatest ibadat is to leave sin, to come out of sin. All types of sin, the sins of the eye, the sins of the gaze, the sins of the tongue, the sinful thoughts, to leave sin. This is the greatest ibadat. One Sahabi came and asked the Prophet ﷺ that I want to become the greatest worshipful servant of Allah Ta'ala. What should I do? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ittaqil mahar, ittaqil maharam, ittaqil maharam, ittaqil maharim. That leave the haram, leave the haram. Leave haram and you will become the most worshipful servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to come out of our addiction to sins, if we want that freedom, if we want najat, then just do these two things. Don't stop repenting. Make tawbah, then you commit that sin again make tawbah. Then again you fall back into that sin, again make tawbah. Then again you do that sin, again make tawbah. Keep making tawbah. We might become tired of making tawbah. Allah Ta'ala never gets tired from forgiving us, from accepting our tawbah. And Allah Ta'ala is inviting us that make tawbah. Allah Ta'ala is not just going to forgive us once. He's not just forgiver, he is a ghaf. He is not a ghafir, he is a ghaffar. Ghafoor. Ghaffar and Ghafoor means that being who forgives over and over and over again. And if there was only one chance for forgiveness, then Allah Ta'ala would have said that seek forgiveness, I am a forgiver. You will be forgiven. But Allah is a Ghaffar. Allah Ta'ala Himself is creating flexibility in His law. That ask for forgiveness, but if you think you will sin again, don't despair. Ask for forgiveness now, and if you do it again ask for forgiveness, you will still be forgiven. That's the meaning of Ghaffara. Ghaffara. Allah Ta'ala is inviting us that keep coming back to me, keep making tawbah to me, keep seeking forgiveness from me. Ask for forgiveness, and I promise I will forgive you. So, these are the two things that we should work on to get the blessings in this month of Sha'ban, to get the blessings from the heavens. Any person, if any person, any man, any woman, any nation, any tribe, any country, the entire ummah, if they can adopt these two things, Allah Ta'ala is saying, I promise them, I will open the floodgates of barakah from the heavens, and I will open the floodgates of barakah from the earth. People say that there is no barakah. Can you tell us some wazifa? Our children are disobedient. Can you tell us some wazifa? My business is not operating well. Can you tell us some wazifa? We have people who are ill and sick in our family. Illnesses, they don't leave us. Is there any wazifa? This is not just any wazifa. These are two things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself is telling us in the Quran with a Quranic guarantee. Iman, but the full meaning of Iman and taqwa. The full meaning of taqwa. Adopt these two things and then see how Allah Ta'ala opens the floodgates of barakah in your life. How Allah Ta'ala creates ease in your life. How Allah Ta'ala gives you a life of peace and tranquility and itminan. So this is an opportunity for us that in this month of Sha'ban, we try to practice living such a life of Iman. We try to practice living such a life of taqwa. And for this, a person has to make effort. One has to make an effort. And that effort is that we need to put ourselves in such an environment, in a good environment, in the environment of the masjid, in the environment of the suhbah, the company of the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who are the people of Allah? We say Ahlullah. Who are the Ahlullah? Now, there are many claimants to being a Ahlullah, but they're not truthful in their claim. People practice amaliyat. They're also claiming to be Ahlullah. Those who don't even pray salah, they don't even have a beard on their face, no cap on their head. Their trousers are going below the ankles. They're also claiming to be Ahlullah. A man of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a woman of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ahlullah, their first sign is that they never make a claim to be Ahlullah. The Ahlullah will never say that we are Ahlullah. I'm a man of Allah. This is their first identification. They will never make this da'wah, this claim that I'm such a big scholar. I'm such a spiritual person. They will never say this. Never. They will always say that I'm just a abd of Allah. I'm a servant and a slave of Allah. I'm a fakir of Allah. I'm needy of Allah. I just ask Allah for forgiveness, that Allah forgives my mistake. They never make claims of being a scholar, of someone who is so spiritually advanced. They never make this claim of being Ahlullah. This is their first sign. And the second sign of such people is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates such an effect on their face and their company that just by seeing them, by being with them, the love of Allah ta'ala increases in our heart. Even just sitting near them, the love of Allah ta'ala increases. Just sitting near them, one becomes concerned for akhirah, that I should do something right. I should do something for my akhirah. I'm wasting so much of my life. This concern begins to develop in their heart. Someone asked the Prophet ﷺ that, Ya Rasulallah, who are the friends of Allah, the awliya? And the Prophet ﷺ said that those who, when they are seen, Allah is remembered. When you see them, you remember Allah. This is their sign, that by seeing them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is remembered. And the third thing that is a sign of the men of Allah, the Ahlullah, is that the Sunnah is dominant in their life. What is dominant in their life? Not some nafsani desire, not some custom, not some fashion, culture, media, not some habit or trends. What is dominant in their life? The Sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is dominant. They're making this effort that no work should be done outside the framework of Sunnah. They want to emulate the Sunnah in everything that they do. Their eating, their drinking, their dressing, their bedding, their adab, their akhlaq. They're eager in imitating, emulating, copying the Prophet ﷺ in every matter. They want no other style. For them, the brand is the Sunnah brand, the Sunnah style. These are the three big signs. Wherever you can find such people, you should value such company. Value the company of such people. They are the Ahlullah. We should sit with them. We should sit with them. We should listen to them. We should try to put ourselves in the company of such people. Why? Because by putting ourselves in their company, we can revive our dead hearts. We can revive our dead hearts. By listening to their words, we can revive our dead hearts. The heart, the land of our heart, our barren hearts can become green and lush once again. Our hearts which are filled with the dunya, and the muhabbat of the dunya, such hearts can become pure and clean once again. And they can then begin to flow with the love of Allah Ta'ala, with the love of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the last thing that we'll mention is that in this month of Sha'ban, in addition to working on our iman, working on our taqwa, working on trying to put ourselves in the sohbah of the Ahlullah, last thing, final thing, is that we should also try to do our own zikr more and more in this month of Sha'ban. Zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that Allah Ta'ala does your zikr in the month of Ramadan. Try to be zakir in Sha'ban so that you can be mazkur in Ramadan. If you do fazkuruni today, Allah Ta'ala will do azkurkum in Ramadan. You remember me, I will remember you. Our mashayikh sometimes they explain that Rajab is the month of Mujahida, Shaban is the month of Muraqaba, and then Ramadan can be the month of Mushahida. Mushahida. That you can reach ihsan, to be aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you can see Him. So even though we have passed the month of Rajab, but this is a process. That first we do Mujahida, then we do Muraqaba and Zikr, more and more Zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can get that fazl and karam and the rahmah in the month of Ramadan. So we should begin our Mujahida right now. Begin our Muraqaba right now. Begin our struggle and sacrifice for the sake of Allah right now. And begin our remembrance and zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right now. Don't wait for Ramadan to change. Like we said before at the start, try to make this Shaban better than your previous Ramadan. Try to make that timetable of ibadah. Start doing that in Shaban. Start gradually, increase it to the ideal level. Give yourself a target and then make lots of du'as to reach that target. So we make dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us that we can use this month of Shaban as a way to restore ourselves back to this path of Iman, true Iman, to restore ourselves back to this path of Taqwa, to restore ourselves back to the path of Zikr, back to the path of the Suhbah of Ahlullah. And through this, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those people who are His beloveds. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us to the best of Ramadan. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Before we make dua, we'll make a short silent zikr of the heart for a few moments. Close your eyes and bow your head and disconnect yourself from everything else in this world. Retreat deep into your heart, your spiritual heart, your qalb, and make niyat that, Ya Allah, you have said in the Quran, Fazkuruni azkurukum, that if you remember me, then I will remember you. Ya Allah, we are remembering you deep inside of our heart, and we ask you that you remember us by showering your rahmah into our heart, cleaning our heart of its filth, of its sins, inclining our heart towards your remembrance, And Allah, we make intention that my heart in gratitude and shukr is calling upon your name, your Ism Azam, Ism Jalala, Allah, as if my heart is secretly and silently saying, Allah, 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 and I'm listening to the zikr of my heart. محمد رسول الله. من دعاء سبحان ربي العلي الوهاب. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب من يقربنا إليك. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.